Bookstores in Brooklyn for hosting us and always being very hospitable to the Hebrew community. So, and also the audience, give yourself a round of applause coming through, saying hello. Okay, this is basically a quick press release in regards of the event that's coming in 2 days. As you know, there's been a lot of hyped up media dealing with the event, what we're doing and things of that nature. So we want to just take some questions. We want to, basically give us the reasons why we're doing this. It was all timing and it's all the Most High's plan. To make a long story short, let me just start, I guess, from the beginning. When a while back, about a year and a half ago, I was working, and I'm still working. I'm doing a documentary called Hear, O Israel. And then I interviewed Nashi's father, Prince Shapur. I interviewed some other brothers, Nashi's brother. And then I would reach out to the other camps to interview them. And we're working on that still. When I met Nashi at the Senate event, I asked him, will you be willing to work with other Hebrews? He said, absolutely. We began to talk, and he was busy because he was dealing with other stuff. I was busy doing other stuff, but we kept communication. When the team debate we decided to be put together, and I think where it first started is that I know Sanetta wanted to do another debate. I think that the theme, I don't know, was maybe your camp, Brother Danyaahla, you could maybe comment on that you wanted to say, you know what, I think it's time for you guys to go on trial. And let's ask you some questions, because it's always about what we believe in. So I think that's the night of the ISUPK, when they did the picnic, I think that's when that idea was surfaced. Do you want to comment on that, brother?
Right, Elder Gabar pretty much has it right. The reason why the debate was called Kemet on Trial was because at the ISUPK debate, when Sanetta cornered us for an interview, basically you had Reggie out there and a few other kemetic cats. So, Polite wasn't there, Shaka had already left. But I noticed from watching these guys over the years that all they ever do is ask questions. That's a tactic that Dr. York taught Polite. He thinks that we don't know that. If you keep asking questions, then nobody asks you any questions. So it's a tactic. So I noticed that tactic, I picked up on it, and that's why I said that I think it's time that we start asking the kemetic community some questions. And let me just say, even though we're going to get into it later, they miserably failed the test.
Well, absolutely, we were all there. And basically, that kind of event kind of spearheaded what the brothers we were talking about coming together. But this event kind of, sometimes you need an enemy or a rival to try to unite, to just kind of spearhead that. So we all want to thank the Most High for the kemetic community to kind of spearhead this event. So it's going to be twofold. It's going to be addressing certain things that we're very passionate about, of course, dealing with the Bible and showing the Bible is the true living Word of God, and also showing that the historical Israelites are based on real archeological evidence. And there's always been an issue with those that are Bible believers, and the same questions are always asked. And Brother Divine, you go answer this question: where are the bodies? Where is the tombstones of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Abraham, Moses? And that's always a question that people usually ask. So maybe you could touch on that.
Yeah, thank you for that, Elder Gabar. In regards to that, I actually did a video to give a point of reference so that the people can get some kind of answer, archaeologically, anthropologically wise, in regards to the culture of the Canaanite / Hebrew Israelite people. And that video that I did, you guys can check it out on Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. Look on my channel, you'll see it's called The Biblical Exhumation Apology for the Black Conscious Community. And making sure pretty much what I was doing is I was trying to explain to the community that the grave sites are there. The tombs have been erected there. But when you look at the culture of the people, after a year of the people dying, they would take the bones, they would put the bones in either a sarcophagus or they would put it in an ossuary, and then the families would take the bones with them, no matter who it is. If it's the kings, they would take it with them. If it's common folk, after people die, they would take it with them. Also, there are tombs that are there now that have been ascribed to certain kings that were in the scriptures as well. We also have the Cave of the Patriarchs, which is known to be a historical spot to where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was buried. Then you have the Cave of the Matriarchs. We have Rebecca was there and so forth. So these points of reference are there. And if you go there, these grave sites are actually there that you can view it for yourselves. Now, I created this as a point of reference because they said these things don't exist. Like, they don't exist. There's no such thing as grave sites or bodies or bones and so forth. So what I would do is I would encourage anybody to take a look at that video. That gives you pretty much of a heads up of what we've been producing or how we respond to the community. And it's not an attack video or anything like that. In the beginning of the video, I deal with the kemetic case for their kings list and how we can't find some bodies of certain kings, and how, according to the sister of my aunt, that the tombs of the Nasuts were to be left unbothered, because the moment that you bother it, then you disrupt the Gabar into the process of going into an Ankh, you know what I'm saying? And that's how they get eternal life in regards to the terms of Aru. So I think that's a great point of reference to watch that video, because I did my best to respond to the concerns, and I have future ones responding to it. But when they said that there's no grave sites, there's no tombs, that's not true. It's there. And if you go to Israel, you'll be able to actually look at it and see it for yourself.
And Brother Danyaahla, what you didn't bring out on the debate that you want to bring out? I know you had a lot of stuff prepared. You're actually going to come up this time. You know, we're trying to divide the time. We're probably most likely going to go over time because there's a lot of speakers that we need to be heard, and we may have to do a part 2 because there's so much information. What things you're going to be touching on April 5th?
Well, on April 5th, I don't really intend on going into too much of what I was going to go into at the debate. At the debate, I definitely was going to be dealing with, you know, as far as I had certain charges against Kemet as well, because the Kemetic community, you know, talks about incest, but incest took place in Egypt. That's a fact, okay? Girls get married at 12 years old in Egypt. They can't get around that, all right? And many other things that were going on in Egypt. There was incest, there was all types of stuff going on. Cannibalism, you name it. But I'm not really dealing with that on April 5th. On April 5th, I want to deal with, my subject matter is called The Conspiracy to Destroy the Bible. That's my subject matter. Plain and simple, and it speaks for itself. There is a conspiracy to destroy the Bible, and it has been placed in the United States since 1776, and it is still in effect today. And we have people in our community, both knowingly and unknowingly, that are contributing to that conspiracy to destroy the Bible. And it is our job to defend the Bible. So I'm going to defend the Bible to the best of my ability on April 5th, if it be the Lord's will.
You said something profound, that there is a conspiracy. You know, there's a lot of, that's a heavy statement you said, brother. What is the conspiracy? We know this, you mentioned the conspiracy to destroy the Bible, but why do you think there is a conspiracy to destroy the Bible?
Well, that goes back to 2 scriptures come to mind right away. Psalms chapter 2 and Psalms 83, man. The Bible speaks about us being separated from casting our cords away from us. What are our cords? Our cords are those things that connect us back to the Most High. And what connects the Israelites back to the Most High? The Bible, the Torah, the laws, statutes, and commandments, our mores, our folkways. The Bible is what connects us back to the Most High. So if the so-called white man and the other nations can get us to move away from the Bible and follow their gods and their ways of life, then we have no more connection to the Most High. So what better way to destroy the Bible than creating what I call, or what is called, ad hominem attacks and red herrings? That's what they do. All the attacks in the Bible fall into 2 basic categories for the most part: ad hominems and red herrings. So we're going to get into some of that on April 5th.
Deacon, Awanyasap, you being as a Latino man and kind of being spirit, you know, kind of been thrown into the lion's den very quickly, You know, it all kind of started, I think just by accident, the day that I was supposed to debunk Shaka in his book, and you did most of the work because I was extremely busy, and I felt that you deserved for you to share the non-aligned this, and you did a lot of the work behind the scene. How do you feel as a Latino male, cursing over from the kemetic perspective, and then ultimately finding out that you're a Hebrew, and now what is your overview from being someone with in the kemetic view, now being from the Hebrew view? What's your perspective on all this?
Thank you, Elder. I mean, personally, in my journey through consciousness, when I started building with Kemetic brothers, it wasn't Kemetic exclusively, it was a lot of Pan-Africanism. I was dealing with 5% doctrine, nation of gods and earths, as well as Kemetic brothers and sisters. But when I was a part of that community, there was always some level of resentment towards the Latino community. And it wasn't outright, because a lot of the brothers would acknowledge the fact that we all are original people, but it wasn't as inclusive as I would have liked it to be. And coming from the perspective of being a black Puerto Rican, or Afro-Boricano, a black Latino, it kind of hurt, because I understand that at the very basic, the most fundamental part, I understand that we had a lot of intermingling between blacks and Native Americans. So when I was coming from that perspective, I'm like, well, what's the divide? Why is there, all of these, why do I, as a Latino, have to subscribe to a solely black consciousness, and there's no inclusion for a brown consciousness? Because although we suffer from the same curses, we do have slightly different, colonizations. And as a result of that, blacks have a different worldview and perspective, so-called blacks, so-called Negroes, as do Latinos have a different worldview and different perspective. So coming from that, I just felt like it was part of my task to really kind of bridge that gap. And coming into the Hebrew understanding, I felt like it was the only doctrine that really sincerely and genuinely united black and brown people. And it wasn't on some, you're Latino, you gotta be black, you gotta cleave to this. It was you're Latino, you could be Latino, but understand that you're part of these 12 tribes. So it was very inclusive, and that wasn't my reason for joining, but it was a benefit, and it was something that I acknowledged and really kind of recognized. And when I began to understand who I was amongst those 12 tribes, I said, wow, this is profound, especially being from Ephraim, which is the head of the Northern Kingdom. It made me feel like everything kind of shifted in perspective, understanding the history and the plight of Puerto Ricans, in conjunction with our so-called Negro brothers, and how we've been one in the same struggle. So it just kind of opened up the door, and I'm happy to be a voice for my people on this platform. So all praise to the Most.
We're going to be taking questions from the audience in a few minutes. Brother Divine, your name serves you well, Divine Prospect. We have talked, and you're like a genius, in my case.
Thank you.
This brother's self-taught and everything that he knows, in a very rapid state. He learned Hebrew, Aramaic, he learned, the Metal Netta, he's like a walking, talking encyclopedia. Your perspective, from you doing studies not only in the Hebrew culture, but also in the Kemetic culture, do you believe that the black leaders in America that are gravitating towards the Kemetic perspective, do you believe that they are teaching black people the real Egypt?
I think that's a great question. And I'm on a modest tip, so I thank the elder for saying what he said. But to answer that question, some of them are, but not the majority of them. And I would say that's because we have a degree of romanticism and sensationalism when you want to discover an identity and you want to make it look pristine and above everything else. The thing about the scriptures is that the scriptures is pretty clear. It shows the ups and the downs, the good and the bad, the pretty and the ugly, and it's for us to examine it and see where certain individuals went wrong and where certain individuals went right, and that's just like any book. If I was writing an autobiography about myself, in order for people to relate, I'd have to tell them the good and the bad that has occurred. In regards to the Kemetic culture, I mean, there's so many things that and people know me that I try to strive to bridge the gap, but my identification is with the Hebrew Israelites. But my thing is that if you're going to teach something, be very objective and be very unbiased. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me that there was no faults in ancient Kemet, because now there's pitfalls there, and you put in a smoke screen, and people are falling into it because they don't know what their quote-unquote forefathers, if they believe it's their forefathers, have fell into these traps. And that becomes very disingenuous to the people who truly want to learn and understand the culture. There was a lot of things that was going on. I mean, at the debate, we hammered home a lot of those points. But for me, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of excising and historical records there. There's a lot of exaggeration in regards to a lot of the historical records on the Stellas, because you got to understand it was a very pompous society, and people make it seem like everybody there were kings and queens. That's not true. You only have 1% of the people there that can actually read or write the priestly Medunetia, and then as things trickle down to the demonic, and then later on you get the Coptic, etc., is when the laymen actually started to get hold of this information, even to the point where in the Old Kingdom, the pyramid text was solely only for the Nasuts and those of nobility, to the point where the people were screaming out against it. And then eventually, as time progressed into the Middle Kingdom, now you had the coffin text. Now the people were giving away to make it into the afterlife. Before, it was only the Nasuts. To the point the Nasuts said, listen, if you want to come to the afterlife with me and you my servant, I'm going to kill you on my way out, and then I'll meet you there. That's pretty much how they had it set up. You know what I'm saying? So it's real when you really look into the culture and see that, listen, they're just like in America. And I tell you this example all the time. If you're a black nationalist and you're trying to reform your community, you're not going to sit there and make it seem like there's no crime in the community because you love your people. You're not going to make it seem like there's no prostitution, there's no drug dealing, there's no poverty. You're going to be honest and let people know, listen, these are the issues that we're experiencing, and the purpose of us coming together is to resolve these social ills. You're never going to have any civilization that never had any social ills. I mean, speak on these things, let the people know that these individuals were just like us. They had issues and problems just like us, from the nobility all the way down to the layman. So to answer this question, I normally go to a lot of the Stellas and decipher the Stellas, because the Stellas will let you know what the people were getting from the Nasuts. It's almost like the presidential address that we get here. The president is telling the lay people what's going on behind the scenes and what they plan to do to fix the social ills. The Stellas were erected to do the same thing, to let the common man know what was going on in the land or what was about to transpire. And this is why when you go to the Stellas and you actually decipher the Stellas, you really get to see what was going on with the people. But it's not until you see the coffin text, and then later on when you look at the elephantine papyruses, where you get to understand how the common man lived at that time. He didn't have the same amount of luxury than the Nasuts did. A lot of them even had issues with the Nasuts. And what people don't tell you is that when the Nasuts don't do what they're supposed to do, they get killed. And this is going to come out on April 5th. But this is something that's also been spoken about in the kemetic community, but they keep that on the low. They keep that on the hush-hush because they don't want you to think that there was conspiracies going on in ancient Kemet, and that's not true. Even in the scriptures, we see all the time there was kings that was killed for doing the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just what happens in society. So I'm going to give it back to you, Gabar, and I just want to say that, if they were more honest in regards to the history, then there wouldn't be so much resentment, so much bitterness. You know what I'm saying? Just be honest and tell the people, listen, this was a culture that had their ups and their downs. This is it out for plain view for you to see, and we're letting you know this so that way you don't fall into the same pitfalls. But when you don't do that to the people, you do them a disservice and then get mad at us when we show people the scriptures to show them the blessings and the curses. Because we want to let them know both sides. If you're not striving to be spiritual and in alignment with the Most High Creator, then you're going to succumb to different curses and different social ills.
And you mentioned, spirituality in Egypt, and Egypt, how it really is, not what some of the so-called conscious community is what I consider pimping the people to make them feel and hear what they want to hear. And we hear a lot of stuff today, I'm God, the black woman is God, the black man is God, the mother is God, so forth and so on. If that's a concept that ancient Egypt believed, they believed that they were the gods. They did, we hear people within the kemetic community saying that the ancient Egyptians didn't believe in gods. They believe in science and believe in technology, and they themselves were the gods. What is your perspective from your study? Is that true, or you believe that that's a feel-good statement that's been said, repeated over again to make people of color feel good?
That's a great question, and that's something that I'm going to discuss in detail tomorrow. So if anyone that comes out to Zion Lex's book signing, I'm also doing a lecture dealing with that exact same topic. But I want to answer it briefly for you. Let's say, for example, right now we have a black president, right? Everybody knows who Barack Obama is, right? Let's say, for example, some cataclysm happens and we all perish, right? And let's say hundreds of years pass. And let's say a person who happens to still be black is existing at that time, and they go back into the record and they see that, oh shoot, the president was black at one point in time. He was black. Oh, so that means that all black people at that time, they were all presidents. Now, would that be accurate? Yes or no? Would that be accurate? No. So the only person that was considered God was the Nasut. The common people knew they were not God because they didn't have the same benefits that the Nasut or the Pharaoh had. So when people tell you this message about, oh, we were all gods, the common man would not have been able to identify with that. They would say, no, the one that's leading us, he's the mediator between man and God. You understand what I'm saying? So sort of like almost in the Hebrew Israelite persuasion, we believe that Yahweh Shai, or however you want to be, Yahushua, we have different names for it. We believe that he's the mediator between us and the Most High. You know what I'm saying? So they had the same mentality. They were not calling themselves gods. The regular people were not calling themselves that. The reason why the Nasut had that title, because it was his objective to ensure that there was balance in the community or in the environment. And anytime the balance was upset, then different things would befall the people, and then all of that would go on the Nasut. So the reason why they're talking about he's God, because he is supposed to come from the lineage or the bloodline of the deified ancestors that came before him, who were ruling here. These are the mythology stories that they were teaching each other. So when we hear this message that's saying that the black man is God, okay, the concept sounds interesting, because even in our culture, if you're in alignment with the Most High's will, then you're a reflection of God. You understand what I'm saying? But when you go around and start saying that at that time, everybody believed that they were gods, like they were walking around and everybody was all happy and lovely, that was not the type of culture that was existing there. And all you got to do is look at some of the primaries. You can get any kind of book. Anytime you're going to get a book, and sometimes this is what they say a lot. They say, oh, you can't decipher the Medunetia. People say it all the time. In the Hebrew culture and our language, we have what's called a transliteration, or we have what's called an interlinear Bible. Interlinear Bible gives you the English, and underneath it gives you the direct translation in Hebrew. And the reason why this is important is because there's several books that you can order, either from black scholars or mostly from white Egyptologists, that actually let you decipher the actual glyphs for themselves. So the question you want to ask anybody from that community is that, okay, if you believe that every black man, woman, child walking around was God, and they believed it was God, can you show me something from the layman's perspective that he viewed himself as being God? So when you don't tell people that it was only the Nasut who had that objective to ensure that everything was stabilized into the community by him being a mediator and saying everybody else is God, you're deceiving the people. Because at that time, everybody could not rule or reign as a god or as a queen or a king. So that's not being realistic, because you needed workers. You needed people to serve the king. You understand? You need people to build the pyramids. And some of us believe that they were Hebrews. So to answer that question blatantly, no. I mean, everybody there was not gods or believed that they were gods. And again, the one who did believe he was God in the suit, he believed he was God because there was a God that gave him power on earth. He was ruling from the seat of Heru. And when he died, he would be in the area of Osiris or Oset. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry, Osar. And he would reign with Re. So it was the system that happened then is not the same that they teach it now, because they're not being 100% honest and thorough in regards to their scholarship. It's not to say there's not good scholarship, but they're not 100% honest, and this is what we want to deal with.
I'm seeing now online, people now shooting the Bible, machine guns. I see, a great disdain for the scriptures. And Brother Danyaahla, Priest Danyaahla, what is your perspective on that? Also, the concept is going to be a two-part question. The concept that, do you believe that Jesus is coming and cracking the sky and delivering us? And I'm also hearing an argument that is a negative thing, because now we're putting everything in his hands. We're not doing anything about our liberation. We're waiting on this mystic man to come from the sky. What would you say to the black community that would say that's actually a negative, because we're not actually building, we're waiting on a savior? What is your perspective on, someone that would say that statement?
Well, to answer your first question, as far as the shooting of the Bible, that was done just to get a rise out of the Hebrew community. So, and it got a rise out of a lot of people, but, my reaction to it was I was disturbed by it, but it didn't bother me too much. It might sound strange to somebody, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I've come to expect that sort of behavior from that particular individual. It's not the first time he's done something like that. He's done a lot of things to try to get a rise out of the Hebrew community. I remember before the debate, the same individual did a video where he was practically in tears talking about rape. And, to the average person, it seemed very sincere, but it wasn't very sincere to me, because I realized that your master teacher is a rapist also, and you've never said anything about it, so that makes you a hypocrite. Then after that, you go and you hang out with gang members, Crips and Bloods. So you're doing a lot of things to get a rise out of people, so by now, I sort of expect that behavior. So if you're looking to get a rise out of me, it didn't give me a rise. Now, you gave a rise to a lot of people, but for me, I'm not in my emotions. Right now, at this juncture in what we're doing, we're dealing with information. Point blank, period. You can do whatever you want to do. You want to go shoot 20 Bibles, go shoot 20 Bibles. You want to shoot 100 Bibles, go shoot 100 Bibles. You're not going to get a rise out of me. What I want to deal with is I want to deal with the information that you put forth. I want to know if the information you put forth was accurate or not. Because the people are not going to respond to my emotions. The people online are not going to learn anything from me getting emotional, getting angry, and doing a video and cursing and yelling and screaming. Nobody gets anything out of that. But if I go and I teach, and I show the people the error of your doctrine, then people can get something out of that. So that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to do as far as that is concerned. All right? I don't know if that answers your question.
And the second part.
All right. So the second part of the question is about Christ coming back and returning. Now, somebody asked me this the other day on the radio, and I'm going to answer it the way that I answered it, and everybody probably has a different answer, right? People say to me that I'm delusional because I'm waiting for Christ to come back to deliver me. Okay. So what are we going to do? Is the black man going to go out and get guns and liberate himself from underneath America with guns? Because see, the so-called white man, he created the gun. So for every Tech 9, every Nina that the so-called black man has, the so-called white man has weapons that Negroes never seen. Okay? Now, during the time of the Bush administration, America went down into Panama. There's a video on YouTube you can get called The Panama Deception. America went down into Panama during the Bush administration, and what were they doing in Panama? They were testing laser weapons on people. They would take a laser and they would shoot it at a car like that van that's going by outside and melt the whole car and everybody inside. So now what is the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American man going to do with that? You ain't going to do nothing. America has anti-matter guns. They have kinetic energy weapons. They have hydrogen bombs. What Negroes have that? So you call me delusional for waiting for Christ to come deliver me, but you're not going to get out of this any other way. Because you don't have a gun that can fight what the so-called white man has. Okay? He has weapons in outer space that he can shoot you from outer space, man. Come on. They have satellites that can see a penny on the ground all the way from outer space. Okay? Right now, they have what they call, what are these things called? Drones now. In the Middle East, they're testing drone technology. They have the drones going, they don't have to send men on the ground no more. They can send a drone to come down and kill you and blow you up in the whole house you're in without ever sending a man on the ground. What you going to do against that? So you're delusional if you believe that you're going to get 1 million Negroes together, you're going to get guns, and you're going to overthrow America. America's going to be overthrown by God, the Most High, and Christ, and the angels, and destruction. Destruction. That's how America's going to be overthrown. Period, point blank. Let me just say one last thing. I'm sorry. I apologize, right? Because this is the problem with a lot of our people. I saw that question. That question was posed by Sanetta, right? Posed the question. It was a fair question. But then my thing is this: if you're going to pose a question to me, am I waiting on Christ? My question to you is, what are you waiting for? You guys that call yourself black militants, you all about black power, what are you waiting for? If you're not waiting for Christ, what are you waiting for? Because Negroes got guns. You know what I'm saying? And you talk a whole lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? A whole bunch of so-called black power people talk a whole bunch of stuff. What are you waiting for? What's your solution? What are we going to get out of this? Are we going to go to court and ask the so-called white men for our sovereignty? Is that what we're going to do? What is the solution if it's not Christ? That's what I want to know.
Powerful statement, powerful statement. And to just continue in the conversation, I think most people have a misconception, this is my opinion on that question for the priest Danyaahla, is that people err because they do not know the scriptures. When you look at Christ and how he was operating, he was a threat to the status quo. What did Christ was telling his disciples? Be ye separate. Christ today, okay, when you look at his story, all the disciples used to gather all the wealth of the people and divide, distribute according to what they need. That was what you call today socialism. If we live in we create a socialist kind of community, you know that it will collapse the capitalist society. So a lot of people don't understand that Christ and his teaching, the way he was operating, be separate, don't be of the world. Be in the world, but don't be of the world. Okay? Don't look the lust of the eyes. Okay? Don't be buying every card and everything and that you want. Those principles, if you apply those principles, it would collapse society as we know it today. If black people decide to say, you know what, we're going to stop buying outside of our community. We're going to start buying within our community, as Christ instructed us. Okay, within the Jews and our laws, we have principles that we were not allowed to buy from outsiders. It had to be within our people. So we have those systems. The Bible has those principles to not only liberate black people, but also collapse societies. We just not applying them. Brother Danyaahla.
Let me just say, I'm going to give it right back to you. I'm going to say this. There's a list of 27 corporations. I'm going to bring the list on Sunday. There's a list of 27 corporations that if today everybody stopped buying from these 27 companies, America will be finished within a year. 27 corporations. I'm going to bring them on Sunday for y'all.
I
just wanted to add on to the return of Christ. I echo the same sentiment as Brother Danyaahla, but also I think people have a distorted viewpoint of Christ's return, because when you have true understanding of the scriptures, it's not that we're just waiting around for him to pop out of the sky. It says through much tribulation we will be delivered. So I think a lot of the deception comes from the media and how they promote all of the rapture doctrine type movies and shows and so on, that says that, you know, he'll just return and then those that are saved, they just pop up in the air with them. That's not realistic though. So I think even the question is in air from the jump. It's not even a valid question, because we're actually not waiting for him to do that. We're actually enduring to the end, you know, and suffering through much tribulation, and it's only going to get worse. So, you know, that's actually more difficult than taking up arms, you know, turning the other cheek and getting through this society and waiting on salvation and perfecting yourself in the meantime while we have grace is way much harder than it is to just say, well, let's shoot back. You know, let's go take over a bank. And, you know, we've seen that movement before. You know, if you look historically, every civil rights struggle amongst our people, whether it be black, Latino, whatever have you, in the Americas in general, whether it was against the establishment or guerrilla warfare, whatever it may be, we've tried every single thing. The only thing that we haven't tried as a collective is this. And the few times that we did get started, it was sabotaged by infiltrators and a whole bunch of other stuff that we already know about. But this is the solution, and this is the key. And we're in the days where our people are being awakened, and it's the ultimate solution. So,
Brother Divine, same question. Do you believe that Christ is coming?
Coming or not, because that would be our personal conviction and persuasion. It's what the scriptures tell you to do in the interim, and I think that's the thing that people are missing. The scriptures are never telling anybody to lay down, be lazy, and wait for Christ to come back. I mean, that's not a precept that's in the text. The precept in the text is to be active and getting knowledge out and waking up your people, number one. Number two, the scriptures tell you how, again, to distribute to those who have need in your community, because it's one thing for those who are well off to go to war, but what about those who are poverty-stricken? What about those who are sick? How are you addressing them to get them into an army when everybody's not fit for war? You understand what I'm saying? You have to have a think tank system so that way you can educate and wake the people up first, because like Danyaahla said, we don't got enough weaponry to fight this mastermind that's out there. Even the stuff that he touched on is just child's play stuff that they're just playing with, that we know about. There's a bunch of stuff that has not been declassified yet that we don't know about. So the objective of the scriptures is telling us in the interim, while you're awaiting, get to work. There were people that were being lazy because they thought that the Messiah came back. And Shaul had to get on them and say, nah, if you don't work, you don't eat. You need to get on your grind and do A, B, C, D, F, and G, because there's much work to be done. You understand what I'm saying? This is why I'm saying that the harvest is great and the laborers are few, because a lot of people, what they want to do is they want to be able to benefit off of those who are laboring. You understand what I'm saying? So the scriptures never tell nobody to lay on their back and just take stuff. It never says that. Even the scriptures themselves in the book of Ecclesiastes say this is a time for war and a time for peace. You understand what I'm saying? So we have precepts all through the scriptures that makes us very proactive and doing things in the interim while we are waiting for a Savior to redeem man. So never get it twisted to think that we just sitting here not doing nothing. If you look at the Hebrew Israelites, we're on the street corner teaching the people. You know what I'm saying? Brothers that are locked up in prison, you know, we have correspondence with them trying to get them out. Brothers that's on drugs, we trying to get them out. If you don't do these things first, I don't care what kind of army you're trying to amass. These people are the ones that's going to be able to have to back you up when you need the manpower. You understand what I'm saying? So the first thing is you have to heal your community, and that's what the scriptures tell us to do. Heal the community first. And in the interim, even if you're waiting for them to happen, your focus is not going to be on that because you're going to be doing so much work. You're just going to pop up and you're going to be like, all right, cool. You understand what I'm saying? So never get it twisted. The scriptures never tell you lay on your back and just wait for anything. What it's saying is that get to work, get on your grind, and that's what we're doing as a nation. Even right now, what you're going to see on April 5th, getting together as a nation, creating a government, having different facets of that government. That is what we're doing right now, establishing while we are waiting for the Messiah to come back. And this may not be the persuasion of every Hebrew Israelite, but the objective is we have enough in the scriptures to know we need to get to work and not just lay down and wait for anything.
Powerful statement. And anybody in the audience had a particular question? Anyone ready for R? I know you have a few questions. Go ahead.
Yes. Peace. First of all, thanks for having me. And I'd like to ask Brother Divine Prospect, how...
He always picks on me.
We're just talking about Christ. How exactly is Christ going to return, if he is to return? You know, now that we established that we're not just waiting, but how are we to expect him? Is he coming from the sky? Is he going to knock on our doors? Is he coming through our hearts? Like, is there something in the Bible that says a description of how Christ is supposed to come back?
Man, I'm the wrong person to ask. You know why? Because I tell you each point of view, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? But if you take the persuasion of a lot of Messianic Hebrews, our position, for the most part, is that while we out here grinding and the system is going to get worse and get worse, there's going to be tribulation that's going to purify those who are called saints, or those who are called the children of the Most High. There's going to be persecution that's going to come upon us. Look at this. It's not even far-fetched. If you look at the FBI's most wanted list for non-Arab terrorists, who's on that list? Hebrew Israelites. Yeah. And what do you think they're going to do with terrorists? When this entire system that we live in this society called America, when they start cracking down on a lot of things, the first people they're going to try to get rid of is those who they deem to be terrorists. To the point where if you don't get along with the program on this one world order, you're going to be deemed a terrorist. And the first people that's going to speak out against this is going to be the Hebrew Israelites. So in regards to the scripture, we're looking at how we interpret the New Testament text in regards to the Messiah coming back. There's different positions. You have amillennialism, you have premillennialism, etc. Now, a lot of people may not know what these terms are, but when you get a chance, go and study it. But for the most part, for the persuasion, he's coming back on the clouds with angels who come and redeem man. Now, that is the general conviction from a lot of Messianic Hebrew Israelites. If you are a Torah-only Israelite, you're waiting for somebody to rise up in the land of Israel that's going to be considered the savior for the Hebrew Israelites, and he's going to gather an army and overthrow and topple the existing system that's here. So whether you believe it's going to be a physical man coming up to redeem us from the lineage of David or from the house of David, or when you believe that it's the Messiah that already passed who's coming back on the clouds with angels to come and redeem us from the four corners of the earth, the Hebrew Israelites believe that because the system is so wicked, it has to be in the hands of the Most High for him to designate somebody to come and rescue mankind. Because at the end of the day, a war is not going to stop anything. You're not going to prevent what's about to take place. Now, you may be able to have a degree of sustainability and a small quality of life in the interim, but for the most part, we believe that our protection and provisions come from the Most High. So the question, when people ask it, I think that's a diversionary tactic because they're trying to focus on things that other people who are not spiritual can relate to. So I'll get back to the main question. The scriptures never tell us to lay down and just wait for anything to take place. So you're focusing on waiting for them to come back. What are you doing in the interim? That's what separates us from other Christian sects. They're just waiting to get raptured up. I just spoke to a couple of Christians the other day, a group of them. We were just having a pretty good dialogue, and I say to them, I say, yo, what are you guys doing like to build up like a nation, like, you know, to supply resources to the community, any programs to get brothers and sisters off of drugs and out of the prison. So what are you guys doing? Oh, we don't need to do all of that. I said, well, why is that? Because Jesus didn't come and rescue us. I'm like, you're not going to do nothing? Nah, why should we do anything? I'm like, wow. And see, that's the thing. They try to blur the lines between us and other persuasions, creating ad hominem attacks. Not just that, red herrings. One of them being a straw man by creating something for us and trying to fit us in that particular ideology when a lot of us don't even subscribe to that. So I'm just trying to be very objective because I want to speak generally for all Hebrews. But again, in the interim, it's not just fixated on somebody coming to get you. It's what are you doing in the interim? When you see these brothers on the street, we are putting in that work. Even when you see us in academic ground, we are putting in that work. We are challenging the status quo of the system because we have to cry aloud and let our people know their downfall. Let them know the curses that they're under so they can wake up. And when they wake up, the more of us that wake up, that's going to signify the closer and closer our redemption is going to come. But in the interim, we putting in work. That's what it's about. What are you doing in the interim? So that's why I say I'm the wrong one, because I'm not going to be heavily subjective, but I'm going to pass it to my colleagues over here, and they can be more strict to the point. But again, the bottom line is that we are not laying down just waiting for somebody to come redeem us. In the interim, we put it in work. We're waking up our people. We're kicking our people. Again, we teach agriculture. We teach carpentry. We teach people how to live off the grid. We're doing things to prepare ourselves for the tribulation that's about to come. And if you want to call the so-called black people, who we call Hebrew Israelites, the tribulation will come to us because we're the most dangerous people on this planet. And they understand that. So we're going to be labeled the terrorists first before anybody else. You understand what I'm saying? So what are you doing to sustain your quality of life while you're going through a tribulation period, while you're waiting for a Messiah to come back? And what we doing, we put it in work.
Great answer, brother.
Supposed to follow that?
Let me just ask another one, B. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, you got another question.
Yes, you want to okay, go ahead, brother. Yes, a question?
Got a question. Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Yeah, I just had a question on like, well, anytime in the future, where like all of the different camps, like, gonna have like a friendly debate, you know what I'm saying, like on the different doctrines and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, to like maybe like bring us like one step closer, like the name of Yeshaya, you know what I'm saying, or the 6-pointed star, you know what I'm saying, or the specific holy days. Like, is there anything? Then, you know, this is generally for everybody. Is there anything planned for that in the future?
Well, good question. It hasn't come up yet. I would love to see the day that we could do that and survive that.
That's a good point.
You know, I would love to see that. It's not that serious. We could debate. You could present your information. We present the information. It will be done respectfully. Right. And it'll be fun. You know, it'll be fun. I would love to see that day. I don't think right now is the time. It's too soon. And we have a policy that we don't make, and meaning not only GOCC, but meaning the whole government we're trying to establish here, is any issues, we're going to deal with that behind the scenes. And we're going to, across, in front of the scenes, we're united front. Doctrinal issues, we had different ideas how to kind of, we threw around, like for instance, once we have something successful, and we will say, okay, we're going to pick, let's say 12 topics, and we'll attack one topic per month. Okay. Whether it be, this, then the other, prophecy, nation, who's this nation versus that nation. I know Divine did a lesson on that. He sees that, the Europeans are more like Japheth rather than Esau. Yeah. A lot of them, So we could have a discussion and maybe we can attack that issue. And let's just say out of the 12, we agreed on 2. That's good. That's a doctrine that we didn't agree before than we did prior. But it would not compromise our unity. So right now we're not there yet, and we're not looking to come under one doctrine. That's the Most High in Christ's job. All we're looking to do is give our organization, our movement, a facelift. It's greatly needed, a respect that it deserves, unify a little better. We all understand we're going to first rep our church, first church and then nation and things of that nature. So let's just say in our church, we don't have somebody that can, is a lawyer, for instance. I could call Divine, hey Brother Divine, you know this legal situation? That was not done before. You know, I could call Danyaahla, hey brother, you know, you got to know us, you know, do garments or do this or that. Yeah, that wasn't done before. Before, if no one in our camp could do it, who do we go to? The white man.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So now what we're trying to do is, of course, first we're going to look towards our camp, but we cannot find someone that has that skill, that ability. Let me call Danyaahla, let me call Ashar, let me call, you know, Nasi. Hey brother, you know anybody in your camp to do this? And that money stays in our community. You know, I refuse to put, you know, I've been, like, the last 2 years, all my garments has been people that of color. Hebrew Israelites. I'm tired of giving my money to the Chinese, to the Koreans, to the Arabs every time we do these feast days. You know, and once we start with the little things like garments and matzah, we need somebody to be doing matzah. You know, we could call, hey brother, I need, you know, 50 boxes for the, you know, and we do it ourselves. Why go to the white and make him rich? Wine, we need, you know, we're always drinking wine. Why should we go outside of our community? So that's what we're thinking about. And the doctrine is not in my heart, it's not right now. I'm not even thinking about that right now. You know, and I don't think right now, we're in an infant state to even entertain that right now. So I don't know if you guys want to comment on that, but Danyaahla.
Well, already we've come a long way because, you know, 2 years ago, we all wouldn't be sitting in the same room. We all wouldn't be sitting on the same stage. So we've already come a long way. And I realize that you look into the future and you want us to come even further. And if it be the Lord's will, we're going to go further. But just to touch on what Elder Gabar said, which I agree with 100%, right? One of the main things that I would like to see, if we're going to discuss doctrine at any time in the future, we have to have an established medium of our own. Because what I see happening is that the conscious community, they would love to have that debate in their realm because they want to see us fight. You see what I'm saying? They want to see us fight. So they would love for us to have that debate over there. And you have some Hebrew Israelites that's going over there trying to tell them to bait other Israelites into a debate. That shouldn't happen. So we have to have our own medium established. Also, we have to get to know one another. Because when family fight, at the end of the day, you're still family. You know what I'm saying? So we're just getting to know each other now. We have a relationship now. So once we have that relationship, then we can have a disagreement. And after we have a disagreement, you're still my brother. And I'm still your brother. You see what I'm saying? So we're getting there. We're on the way. You see what I'm saying? Now there's a lot of camps that's not with it, and that's fine. You see what I'm saying? But those of us that's with it, we're going to spearhead this thing, and other people have to, listen, they eventually have to roll or get rolled on. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I feel at this point, I think the best thing to do is address any doctrinal issues behind closed doors so that we can maintain that strong, united front in public, you know, because certain things could lead to dissension if we do it on a public forum. And, you know, we still dealing with flesh and blood, so if, you know, a brother might take offense to a certain scripture, someone throw it at him and say, you know, you're not understanding that correctly or whatever have you. So we want to avoid any type of opportunity for the adversary to creep in and separate or divert what it is that we're trying to do, you know, for the Most High's sake. Because the scriptures tell us that, you know, we got to come together, you know, and speak one thing. So, you know, we doing it little by little, and I think, you know, if it be the Most High as well, like Priest Danyaahla said, then we'll go even further. And, you know, whatever the Most High's will is going to come to pass. So we got to be patient through this process and not do anything in haste, and all things in decency and order, so like the scripture said.
Can I say something? I'm sorry, Devon. Let me just say something real quick. You know, just to touch back on what I said before. I want y'all to think about it. Did y'all see that video that Reggie did on the 12 tribes? Yo, he went out and he went to the commandment keepers and supposedly got a letter from the commandment keepers saying that we have no authority to teach. So what is that showing you? That they want to see us divided. They don't like this. They don't like this. When you look at Polite's extirpation video, he showed a video of Nasi saying something, he showed a video of Divine saying something else, and tried to show that they don't agree and everything like that. This is what they want to see. They want to see that argument. So like the brothers are saying, we can't give them that. Right now, all I need to see is this, that we coming together, and whatever disagreements we have it behind closed doors, and we're not going to give them that. Because that's what they want. That's where their strength is. Their strength is in our division. When we together, we're unstoppable, man. That's why they lost that debate, and that's why they still to this day can't answer all of the charges. Because together, we are unstoppable.
And also, even when you look historically, like, there was always different sects within Israel, you know, and even in the Maccabean era, the Maccabees, they pulled together the different sects and went against the establishment. So that's why we Maccabees TV, because we're essentially doing the same thing right now, reincarnate. So, you know, so we're just trying to move forward on that same vein and that same, you know, dynamic. So,
Yeah.
Any other question?
Yeah, shalom everybody.
Shalom.
Like how you were saying, it's so much progress that we got to make as a nation, and as a community, so it can be overwhelming. Like you learn gardening, you learn carpentry, you know what I'm saying? So like with that whole thing of taking baby steps, how would y'all suggest, you know, each of you guys, y'all point of view on how to take baby steps so you can progress? Because, you know, you can be on YouTube all day trying to figure out how to set up a tent, how to escape a large metropolitan area, you know what I'm saying?
But to also answer that, just, I don't know if the brother's here, Brother King Simon, he actually went on our show, and he's an expert in survival. And I think I wanted him to come to the church and do a presentation of that. But I know, Brother Devon, I know you touch on survival and how to, you know, survive this time of trouble who's coming.
Now, what I would say is that what Elder Gabar said earlier was key. You know, we reach out to those in the community who have these skills. There's a lot of brothers in the community that you may not get most of the publicity for because they're not creating controversy, that are actually doing things behind the scenes, such as doing agriculture. That's one thing that Nazi's spearheading out there in Atlanta. You know, as far as agriculture, they have these group of young kids that go and they set up and maintain gardens for people in the community. You know what I'm saying? We have another camp of brothers, I think they're located out in California. And what they're doing out there is that they're teaching brothers how to build homes in the arid regions and the mountainous areas in California. So what I do is that I take a little bit from everybody, and in return I say, hey, you know, I have these skills. You know, how can I be of service to you? So at the end of the day, we have to be able to serve one another. We have to find out what each other's strengths or weaknesses are, because nobody's more important than the other person. Everybody has gained something that they can give to somebody else. So when you say that, we have to come together. Like after we do our unity summits, we get more and more camps together. Okay, what kind of skills can we create workshops for and have you guys come in? Because we have to show a different aspect of the Hebrew Israelite culture. You know, all of us are not on the corner or have the gift to go on the corner and be able to reach those that are lost. There's some that are behind the scenes that do other things such as manufacturing, you know, in regards to garments, because you're going to need clothing no matter what it is that you go. Unless you've seen that show, Naked and Afraid. Anybody on here see that show? Yeah. I don't know if I could do that, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to need garments, you know what I'm saying? As far as carpentry, there's brothers that do carpentry, even brothers in their day jobs. A lot of times brothers don't like to talk about their day jobs. But I tell them all the time, that's a skill that you can transmute and give to the kingdom. You know, what is it that you're doing in your day job? You know, for me, I'm a software support analyst, you know what I'm saying? So I understand that interwork is mostly with hardware and also how to do remote access to support computers. So let's say, for example, for some reason, our media goes down for whatever reason, then I will have to spearhead to say, okay, how can I get information from us to another camp? Whether it be by old school radios or whether it be by old school snail mail, we have to find a way to have logistics to get it from one group to another. And again, as we have more and more of these summits, we're going to have workshops. We'll be able to show you guys these skills so that way you guys can take home, and we're going to make it as practical as we can and show you the precepts in the text. Because when the ark was being built, when the Ark of the Covenant was being built, all of these things are numbers, all of these things are instruction sets that if you understand why the Most High designated to be that way, we can extract from that and find out how can we apply it today, and we can make it meaningful. It just won't be something abstract that's on the text, but we can take that science and say, okay, now how can we apply it? So as we come together with more and more of these unity summits, we're going to teach more and more skills to the community so that we all can be, because no one person can know everything. If that person dies, then the kingdom is done. No, we have to share it abroad so that everybody can be able to have a contingency plan in the event that the leaders, so something happens to the leaders. So I hope that somewhat answers your question.
Yeah, just to add on to that, from an individual perspective, you know, the scriptures testify to the fact that, and The Most High has blessed everyone with an individual gift, individual talent. So I think coming into this truth, you know, as you begin to reflect on self and you meditate more and you have more time alone, because that's naturally what happens when you come into the truth, try to find out what moves you, try to find out what passion you may have, because, you know, you should never really, like, if you do anything against your will, it's going to be forced. You know, so if you learn things that you take pleasure in and you have a passion for, that's righteous, of course, then, you know, you'll be able to excel in those things in ways that other people may not be able to. So I think part of it, too, is trying to find who you are, trying to get in touch with self, and follow those things. You know, you have brothers, and that's why, historically, when you look at our kingdom, we had, everything was based on family. So you have families of carpenters, you have families of fishers, families of, you know, whatever the case may be, scribes, you know, orators, and because everyone had a divine skill or set or purpose. So when you try to find your path, you know, in life, you know, that's something you could pray on, you know, and ask the Most High. Said, whoso lack wisdom, you know, the Most High give freely. So if you're looking for something to, you know, to pursue, then that's something you should pray on, but also try to get in touch with self and know what moves you. Because not everybody, like Devon said, not everybody is going to be a carpenter and a medical doctor and this and that. Some people have a gift to gab. Some people have, you know, the gift to analyze things and inscribe things. Some brothers have the gift to, you know, put things together. They're good with their hands. And you got brothers that are, you know, and so on and so forth. So, you know, try to get in touch with self, but also, you know, jump outside of your comfort zone and don't be secluded to one particular thing, because that's all you've been exposed to. You know, try to jump out there and see what else is out there, especially with the gift of the internet, you know, the gift and the curse. You know, you could find, you know, different things that might move you. So just be patient with that, I would say.
And just to touch on what the brothers were saying, I'm a big believer, I'm a big organization person. You know, I believe that. And I believe that, you know, all the Hebrews that may be listening to me online and maybe perhaps are embrace the culture but are not loyal to a particular camp or church. My personal opinion is that you should do either two things. You should either join a camp that you feel best reflects your personality and your doctrinal beliefs, and help that camp to become better. If you have a talent and you're just standing in front of the camera complaining about all the camps, okay, you are a waste of time. So my advice is, you know, whether it be Priest Danyaahla, whether it be GOCC, or whether the Divine's camp or other camps that you may see that are looking towards this unity, join one of them and say, how can I help? Because I believe there's a disease within Black Latino men and women. They do not know how to function in an organization with other Black Latino men and women. That's not our thing. We don't know how to function that, do that well. And I always give thanks to the Most High for embracing me learning the Hebrew community very early when I was 20 years old. And they taught me that structure, you know, very early on. So I believe that you could get things going when you have structure. So if you by yourself and because you're not happy with no camp, you know, there's not going to be a perfect camp. There's always drama in every camp. There's always issues, but you learn to how to work with other brothers and sisters in a structural setting. And then once we start doing that as a Hebrew community, because I have talked about this in other discussion with the brothers, that there's probably 2 to 3 million Israelites throughout the whole world. But we're scattered, there's no unification, because we're waiting for that one camp, perfect camp. There's not going to be a perfect camp. There's always going to be issues, there's going to be drama, things of that nature, but if you deal with the love of the Most High in Christ, and the royal law, love your neighbor as yourself, you're going to work it out. And Priest Danyaahla hit it right in the nose. We first have to get to know each other, understand where we're from, understand that we are both sincere, so when we get into those disputes, we can still hug it out at the end, and things of that nature. So, you know, one thing that which we're saying is that now, and Deacon, I was touching is with the internet, is a curse and a blessing, because Brother Danyaahla, when you and I were coming up, there was no internet. You had to be physically in a building to get this knowledge. Now, this knowledge is everywhere. And, you know, you want to get the breakdown on the Gentiles. You can just put that, and you have 1,000 camps breaking down that. Revelations 13 or what have you. So what's happened is that before the elders controlled us, and righteously, I'm not in any way downplaying that, the information, because they had the information, we needed the information, so we had to be loyal to our teachers to get that information. Right? Now, that does not exist. So we have to kind of create something different now. We have to create a different, because information is out there. So, well, we have to kind of show that unity in that structural situation, that if this is successful, and I believe it's going to be successful, that we could have a situation that said we do need to protest the situation. And we call each other 5 men or 6 men or 7 men, whatever representative can. Each man will call one text, and you have 1,000 members showing up in a heartbeat. That's organization. I always remember this part of the movie of Malcolm X, when they were telling Malcolm X when they beat up one of their brothers and they arrested him, and one of the sisters told him, "You Muslims, you talk a good game, but you don't do anything." And then, you know, the character, brother Danyaahla, he looked around and said, "You know what? She got some point." So he got his troops, and they were trooped to the precinct. And the cop said, they should not, that much power should not have, you know, one man should not have that much power. We need to have that organization. And I think we have to change our thought process in waiting in that one camp situation. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But until the meantime, let's come together and let's put our differences aside. And when we do need to protest, when we do need, God forbid, somebody gets arrested, we got the bail monies. God forbid, somebody's going to try to be a lawyer, we got that. Because once the world sees that, because the scripture says that the way the world's going to see that you are the sons of God and how you love one another. Right? So, I think, answer your question, I want to be long-winded, is you got to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. You standing on the internet complaining about every camp and this, that, and the other, about doctrine, this, and you're not joining a camp or creating a camp and doing something. If you're not doing something, going back to what you were saying, brother, I think you're a waste of space, my personal opinion. So, any other question from the audience? Yeah, brother.
Officer Danyaahla, GOCC, Chicago. I have a question. I kind of want to know one thing for sure about Hebrew Israelites, whether there's different factions of whether it's ISUPK, AOC. One thing I know about Hebrew Israelites, it's about building, trying to bring us together as a unit, as a unity. One thing that I kind of figure out about the kemetic community, it's never about building, it's about always destroying. And not only does the Hebrew Israelite have an enemy, but we have an enemy within the enemy. An enemy is someone who hates, who tears down and destroys. And that's the only thing that I kind of figure out about what the kemetic community always tends to do. Always turn down a nation that's trying to build or trying to help one another and trying to come back to our Creator. And I just want to know, what is it about the kemetic community that they don't really like about the Hebrew Israelites? Is that their job?
Well, I want to be fair, right? We had, like, you know, I'm gonna Jack Divine's phrase, and I'm gonna say I want to be objective. I'm gonna use the word objective, right? I don't want to paint the whole kemetic community like that, because I'm telling you right now that in my inbox on Facebook, I'm getting a lot of people from the kemetic community that's coming forward saying, you know what? I'm learning from y'all.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm learning a lot of stuff from y'all. Yeah. I respect y'all. I respect your scholarship. I respect your information. I'm getting a lot of messages like that from the kemetic community. What you're seeing on YouTube, you are seeing the extremists of the kemetic community. I don't believe that the everyday kemetic community supports the extremism that you see on YouTube. You have a lot of people in the kemetic community that actually speak against it, but they're not vocal. They don't have the outlet the way some of these channels that are very extreme have the outlet with tens of thousands of people watching videos. Some of the people that are not as extreme don't have that outlet. So we can't really say it's all of them. But the extremists, yeah, that's their job. Their job is to discredit the Bible and throw out ad hominems, red herrings, and like Devon said, straw man attacks. They try to tear down the Bible. That's their job. And they're being moved by the spirit of Satan to do that. And it's our job to combat that with the truth. That's why I said, right, that when me personally, when I'm teaching in all of us, because I see it in all of us up here, when we coming and we bring in information, we are going to extract our feelings out of it. I have my personal feelings about all of them guys, but I'm taking my personal feelings out of it and I'm going to deal with the information because the people will receive the information better when you just deal with the information. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we're dealing with. We're just dealing with the information, and the information will speak for itself. That is why, pursuing back to when Shaka did his video, I gotta bring it up, when Shaka did his video about King James being a homosexual, right? I let that ride for 2 months. And I was reading the comments, everybody was like, oh, he proved it, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I sat back, I said, yeah, all right, we'll see. But I waited. And then I did my rebuttal. And I haven't heard nothing since. So it's all about the information. And I didn't get emotional when I did it. I just presented the information. I presented the information that he didn't present, and I let the information speak for itself. That's what we have to do with anything that we're presenting. Because the information that we're going to present on Sunday is going to speak for itself. Pretty much.
Just to answer your question again, I think you're saying that why is the Kemetic community coming against the Hebrew Israelites? When we're trying to build and it seems like they're destroying. I think Danyaahla had touched the nail on the head when saying that it's not everybody. It's the ones who create the most controversy and get paid for it. So if I know that the Hebrews are building, so much so that they have a bigger community than I do, what's the best way for me to make money? Draw them into a bait. Bait and you switch them in. You make it seem like you're all buddy and cool with them, yeah, we cool, and then while you're not with them, make a video, bang on them, like, yeah, you know, Bible's this and Bible's that, and so-and-so camp says this and that, and it's like, oh, but we was just in a company each other, and you ain't come at me hard like that. So you have to understand that the ones that are doing it are the ones that, not all of them, but a lot of them are doing it for financial gain because they know that we have a huge community that they can market off of. You understand what I'm saying? That's number one. Number two, from my interfacing with the Kemetic community, they believe that our religion is controlling us. They believe the religion is a white man's tool that the white man's using to create confusion, to cause us to be lackadaisical and lazy and laid back so that we don't do anything about the problems in our community. So what they believe is that, okay, if you come under the Kemetic umbrella, where we go right back to science and culture without the religion, there's less division in our community. This is from their mindset. This is what they're saying. So they're saying if you're Islamic or if you're a Hebrew Israelite, at the end of the day, the religion, what they just don't understand is our culture, it's our nationality. They see it as a religion because they're looking at it from the Eurocentric perspective. And they're saying because you guys are in religion, it's causing division in the black community. But if you come right back to Nile Valley African or to the Kemetic persuasion, then there's no religion to say anything about who believes this, who believes that. We're going right back to empirical sciences and empirical culture and so forth, and we can do away with the religion. What they don't understand is that we don't see this as a religion per se. We don't see it as that. We see it as a people that was in a particular area at a time, and they developed a culture. And out of their culture, they had ways of transmitting that information to each other and to future generations. So they look at that, and what their enemy has done when he infiltrated the Hebrew Israelite community, I'm talking about in antiquity, saw that and said, okay, how can I take the substance and give them back the counterfeit? The counterfeit became the religion, the substance was the culture. So what happens is they're attacking the straw man of the Eurocentric who created a system of politics with religion and selling it back to melanated people instead of telling us this is actually your nationality, the culture and language of the people or your forefathers you came from. So they're using our technology, which we call the scriptures, they're creating something much different because they infiltrated it and now they're selling it back to black people saying that this is a religion, go fight over it. And we're saying no, that's not the paradigm that we're fighting against. So you have to make a distinction when we interface with this community and say, listen, we're not following after religion. We're telling you this is our conviction in regards to identity, and we're going back to identity. The religious part is what you may perceive it as based on your innate hatred or bitterness towards maybe what the church has done to you at one point in time, or something that may have happened to your grandmother. You know, one story that I hear a lot, that somebody's grandmother was a Christian for all these years, and then something happened to her, and then all of a sudden she lost her house, and she went, you know, she got sick and she passed. And like, people will attribute that to religion and say, look what religion did to my grandmother. And say, well, I hate religion. This is why I'm banging on religion. This is why I don't care about religion. Anybody associates with this particular religion, I hate. And see, that is called another straw man. So they do this because they try to bait us into a debate, bait us into creating controversy, because they know that we're growing in numbers. And every time I look, statistically speaking, I'm talking about overall, there's more Hebrew Israelites that are in America than there are people from the Kemetic community. There's more Hebrew Israelites. And I'm talking about looking statistically from YouTube. I put it through and analyze and look at stats for different videos. There's more Hebrew Israelite people that are on there watching, viewing, etc. than the Kemetic community. Then that should tell us something. When somebody looks at that, wow, that's a market that we need to tap into. I don't know if anybody has been at the debate of February 8th. There was a lot of Hebrews that was there. I would say a little more than half were just Hebrews. So imagine if they was debating each other. You would have that whole half of the people not even there. You understand what I'm saying? So it's either they're doing it for marketing purposes, or they're doing it because they have an innate hatred from a personal experience that they've encountered, what they label in their mind as being religion. You understand what I'm saying? And they're saying that the best way to get away from religion is come back to Kemetic's way of life, because we didn't have a religion and all we dealt was in sciences and so forth, which is not true. But this is what they say, and they say when you come together that way, now we can eliminate the religion. But what they can't tell you is that, what about all your forefathers that were activists? How many of them were atheists? How many of them used strictly the Kemetic persuasion to liberate people? Not saying that you can't, but how many have done that? You understand what I'm saying? So when you ask them those questions, like for example, and I don't want to call no names, but if you go back to a radio show that I had a brother that came on there, and I asked him, I said, okay brother, so what do you think about Khalid Muhammad? Khalid Muhammad did a lot more so for black people than you ever did. So what do you think about, oh, I like this swag. He was a cool guy. I said, well, what are you saying? Are you denouncing the work that he did because he had a spiritual inclination to Islam? Are you detracting away from all the work he did in the community just because he had a personal inclination to Islam? And the brother would say, well, yeah, reluctantly, because he knows that he's going to take some backlash for that. But when you corner him in, the ultimate question is to ask him, tell me what particular people that didn't have a spiritual system, because when you're spiritual, you have an accountability. Without spirituality, you are subject to relativism. That means whatever I feel is right, I'm going to do it. You're not thinking about the collective whole. You're not thinking about being accountable to a power that's greater than you. When you think about these things and they resonate in the back of your mind, you're given a sense of obligation to do something in your community. But when you don't have it, it's like, okay, how can I market about this and preserve myself and my family only? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a bitterness against religion, or what they perceive as religion, and not allowing us to explain our way of life. Or number two, is because they're using it for marketing gain.
Questions from online, and then Radio Fahar. We have another 5 minutes, so let's try to
another 5 minutes.
Does it down to under a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. To the whole group of the panel, well, really to you, Brother Gabar. Okay. The brother beside me just brought up. The Kemetic versus the Hebrews. Now, question to you: you were actually at a popular Kemite's home, Shaka Amos. Now, it didn't look like it ended well. Do you ever see the Hebrews and Kemites ever building the way that you guys are starting to build now?
Well, first of all, we got the Kemite community, and we got Shaka Amos. You know, the whole situation with Shaka, and you know, first of all, Brother Polite, he invited me to his house to come and build with Shaka at Polite's house. And when I showed up to Polite's house, it was a change of plans. No, we're going to Shaka's house. And I'm going to be addressing that in another time. Myself and Brother Everett Genie, we're going to be coming together and addressing some, because I experienced certain things that day that there's some serious questions that we need to ask Brother Shaka within the community. And I went to, this was bothering me for a few days after the event. the conversation that I had with Shaka, and I went to call different brothers, and I went to call Heritage Gina, who is from the Kemetic community, because I didn't want this to be just the Hebrews, because if I go to the Hebrews, they're gonna bang with me regardless. They're gonna, yeah, I'm with you, Gabar, whatever you want to do. I didn't want that to be divisive towards the Kemetic and the Hebrew right now, especially after the debate. So we're gonna be addressing that issue, because there's sometimes when, and this is where I agree with Heritage Genie, and I agree with his movement about the straight black man.
I think Irritated Genie is a Pan-Africanist.
Yeah, he's a Pan-Africanist,
I don't know if it's the same thing.
Yeah, he's a Pan-African.
Right.
And one thing that him and I, we don't agree on in some things, but one thing that we agreed is the image of the straight black man. And I'm going to leave it as that. And there's certain things that I witnessed, and certain things I need to address,
right.
And we're going to deal with that another time after April 5th. But to go back to the situation, like I said, you have the Pan-African movement, the conscious movement, and you have these other characters. They don't represent those movements, and we need to understand that. They're not looking to build. They're just looking to build whatever they're individually building, whatever it is they're building, or whatever it is they're doing. They're not looking to build. And I predict in the next year or two that what we're doing with the Maccabees movement and the Hebrew Alliance is going to be the envy of all organization. It's going to be we're going to be the organization to be. And it's going to take a hard work, a lot of patience, but that's what I predict.
I got two more questions. In regards to the facelift that you guys are doing, one, I really love it. I love the fact that you guys are uniting. Mm-hmm. But what I don't see is any women coming to the forefront. Is that an option in the Hebrew, I don't want to say society, in the Hebrew culture?
Right. Well, I think I touched on that. I think when you interviewed me last in regard to the complicated issues.
Right.
But we're actually working on that to actually show women to some degree in the forefront, saying that we are Hebrew women.
Right.
We embrace this culture. We're not being oppressed by black men, and we're not locked up in our homes and things like that. We have sisters here, she can also attest to that. So we're gonna show that as well.
Right.
April 5th is gonna be a family event. You're gonna have sisters and kids, running around having a good time, and it's not gonna be that tension that you saw in the February 8th. But we're gonna be showing that. And you have one more question.
Yeah, I did have one more question. In regards to polite shooting the Bible, I wonder. Let's say it wasn't polite. Let's say it was just a civilian person shooting the Bible, and maybe he didn't shooting the Hebrew. Pardon me, shooting the Bible. Would you say that the Christian paradigm it will be the cause to that, or do people that leave the Christian paradigm and maybe have a disdain for everything that involves the Bible have a right to hate the Bible because of the Christian focus?
Well, yeah. I know Danyaahla wants to probably comment that. The Bible is not to blame what happened to black people. Let's get that perfectly clear. The Bible was the last thing, and that the white man wanted us to open and read. It is the tool of our liberation. It always has been historically. Look at the numbers. Look at all the liberators where they gravitate their source from, the scriptures to liberate. Okay, Christ was considered to be a rebelizer. He was an activist for change. So the scriptures is not to blame to what happened to our people. What happened to our people is that we broke away from the commandments of the Most High, and we just fulfilled the prophecy. And it was Esau that the Most High used to punish us and things of that nature. And those Gentiles, they know that we're Hebrews, and that has hidden this fact, they're going to receive that great judgment. Now, the Bible had nothing to do with that. So I think this myth that the Bible is to blame, it needs to be rest. And why take and give away, like for example, I think Brother Seti, one of the Kemetic brothers said that, why give away Africa, right? First of all, Israel, you know, when you look at the promises of Abraham, the landmass, he said, I'm going to promise you from the Euphrates River to the Egyptian Nile. The Egyptian Nile goes all the way down to Ethiopia. So if you're in certain parts of Africa, you're in the promised land. So that's a whole different discussion. But what I wanted to say is that in the same way as black people don't want to give Africa away, why should we give away this Bible? It's a black book. Why give it to the white man? Let's take this book and use it for our liberation as our forefathers always used to. Brother Danyaahla, you want to touch on that?
Well, I know we don't have long, so I don't want to be long-winded, but I'm a victim of that because I was raised in a Christian church. Like I always say, I always tell a story until ad nauseum. I was raised in a Christian church, and when I first found out that the Bible said Christ is black, I was mad as hell. Because I found this out when I was like 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. Spent my whole life in church, didn't know that. So I was upset, and I left Christianity and the Bible as a whole and went into Islam. Followed by going into a whole bunch of other philosophies, but then I came back full circle, and I came back to the Bible when I met somebody that was able to teach me properly. So this is why we're set up in these days and these times now. We're teaching our people properly so that they don't have to fall victim to a lot of the lies, because there's a lot of lies being pushed on the Bible that have nothing to do with the Bible. You have to this day in the conscious community, because I asked, people that still believe that William Shakespeare put his name in Psalms 46. Still. And I did a video about that 3 years ago addressing that. There's absolutely no evidence of that, but you'll hear a conscious brother say that. So people run away from the Bible when they hear things like that because those are lies. So it's our job to destroy those lies. So like Gabar said, the Bible never lied. The problem is the people that are speaking about the Bible, they're lying. That's the problem.
Okay. And I think we have 2 questions online.
Well, one question. Actually, it must have been in the spirit because you kind of touched on it. Is the Bible the best tool for our liberation, and why?
And I say
There's a person that have a name.
Because I'm following people too, so I don't want to call no names out. But
there's more. Well, we could start with that. Well, matter of fact, if there's more, I would like to end the night with that question. I don't know if Brother Vaughn, you see anything online that the picture interest? I don't know.
I'm still looking. I know there's a couple of questions.
And they're coming kind of quick.
Yeah.
So we go, Priest Danyaahla, is the Bible best for our people, and why?
In a nutshell, because I know we're short on time, the Bible is the best tool for our liberation because it is the only book, as Divine said, that deals with balance amongst all these so-called holy books on the earth. It tells you the good, the bad, and in between. What we did right, what we did wrong. It tells you why we're in the condition that we're in and how to get out. There's no other book on the planet Earth that does that. If there is, I want to see it.
That came from Israel.
Exactly. I know that's
Israel doctrine?
Yeah, Israel doctrine.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. I think when you're looking towards liberation and you're looking towards what is the best tool for our people specifically, and oppressed people and a downtrodden people, a people that has been afflicted for many years in this current captivity, it gives you a set of laws, statutes, and commandments to follow by that no other book can provide. And it deals with every part of life. You have laws regarding clothing. You have laws regarding your food. You have and look at all of the diseases that we're afflicted by. It's mostly dealing with our diet. It's dealing with our sexual practices.
Yes.
It's dealing with a whole slew of things. And the Bible addresses each and every single one of those things meticulously, and no other book can do that. So absolutely.
Yeah, so we in a comfortable Hebrew Israelite setting right now, so so I don't have to be overly objective, but I would say yes. Right? But I would say yes, and this is one thing that, I actually have a PowerPoint that's coming up in a couple of months where it's does the Bible provide a solution for the conditions of blacks in America? Because the objective is, if we don't see precepts in the text that we can practically apply today to resolve our social ills, then we need to get rid of the book. But for years, There's so many precepts, even when you think you have the Bible down pat, the Most High will give you a new illumination, like, whoa, I didn't even see that before, and it could be right for a situation that you needed it for. You know, like I teach people how to deal with contract law, to get themselves out of eviction notices, loans, and stuff like that. That's all in Scripture. The Scripture is all about covenants and contracts. And when you read that and you understand that and you see how our oppressor has taken that and he has skewed that and sold us back a counterfeit, and when you get the truth, for example, when you go to a bank, they don't put a whole bunch of counterfeit dollars in front of you. They give you the real thing and they teach you how to study the real thing, so when a lie comes, you can be able to tell that it's not for real. So when you understand the Scriptures and how it's encoded in our DNA, and it reflects specifically our direction, our past, our present, and see that there's so many precepts in there that you can create a system to resolve every social ill, so you can have a degree of quality of life while you're awaiting, depending on what your persuasion is, for a Savior to come back. It's giving you all the necessary tools to liberate every aspect of your life. And when people say, well, that's not true, all you got to do is ask us and we'll tell you. Precept upon precept, line upon line, we'll tell you all the elements. And as the camps are coming together, we are sharing with each other more precepts that we probably didn't see before that can help edify us and move us forward. So again, it's all about dispelling all of the myths that the Bible is no good for us. The Bible was used for hundreds of years. We can't use it today. I disagree with that. There's so many precepts in there that is eternal, that it doesn't matter what the state man is, because even though technology may change, the human character, the human spirit has always been the same. That does not change. And the Most High speaks to us through that, through the Scriptures. It's a love message. I guess you all the time. It's a love message that he wrote to the people. And love message, if you love somebody, the Scripture said open rebuke is better than hidden love. That means sometimes love may not be all cute and all pretty. Sometimes love's like, yo, you messed up. And you need to get it right. If not, I'm going to whoop your behind. That's real love. And that's what the Scriptures teach. They don't teach us some fairy tale that, oh, everything is perfect and you're over here in the skies and the clouds and you walking around thinking that your ish don't stink. You feel what I'm saying? The Scripture said, listen, there's a problem, here's a solution, and once you get to the solution, now I'm going to show you how to practically apply it to resolve the social ills in your community and build you guys a nation. And Most High says, try it. Try it. That's it.
Give the Most High a hand. Give his brothers doing the work. You know, it's the Scriptures. Christ says it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath, and these brothers are doing good on the Sabbath. So I just want to thank Priest Danyaahla, Brother Deacon Awanyasap, and Brother Divine Prophet, giving brothers a hand, giving yourself a hand, you're doing a phenomenal job. My understanding is, Brother Divine, you're going to be here tomorrow.
I'm going to be here tomorrow. The doors open at 7. And the event starts at 8. I'm going to be speaking on were the ancient Kemetians atheists. So I'll be real quick. I'm touching on the subject matters were the ancient Egyptians atheists. This is one thing that I wanted to pull out the debate. If you guys want to know something of what this is going to be about, you can go back to my YouTube channel. I got a snippet of me at the debate. That's exactly what I'm going to explain tomorrow without the time constraints, because I had less than 10 minutes to speak. Only reason why I spoke is because I didn't even see Zion lecture. Somebody told me he left. I was like, man, you know what? Let me go and redeem him, because, you know, after put all those presentations up, I said, well, we got to respond. And I was asked to respond, so I did. But my time was cut short. I told Ready for R, this is for Ready for R. I told Ready for R
yes, sir,
that I would give him this presentation. This is the only reason why I'm actually doing it. It's because he asked for it. I gave him my word. I'm going to keep my word. So we're going to have to dispel this myth of were there gods in ancient Kemet? Because we hear this a lot. And when people escape the fact that there's gods, a lot of people escape accountability. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's a higher power that's saying, listen, if you don't do the right thing, we're going to judge you. If that's the case, then what is my odds? There has to be balance and order and justice, but who is the one regulating this? So we're going to touch on that to see if the ancient Kemetians believed that there were higher powers, or if this is something that was just a mystery and they didn't understand it at the time. We're going to find out exactly where this doctrine comes from, and we're going to see if it's indigenous to the people in that land, so we can dispel that myth. And also, it's Zion Lex book signing. He has a new book that came out called It Was Written. It's a great book. If you don't have it, you can type it in on Amazon and you order it. He's going to be doing his book signing as well as giving a lecture as well. So we'll be here 7 p.m. The doors open up. It's an $8 entry charge, and at 8 p.m. The event starts.
570 Fulton.
570 Fulton. Support Hebrew culture, support Hebrew brothers and sisters. We can show the world that we are rising. Once again, thank you for joining us at Maccabees TV. Also, Brother Ready for R, always coming here digitally to doing his work and support, want to support his media. And he's always fair, asks fair questions, and he doesn't edit It's video.
Right.
You make him feel a certain way. So I want to give Brother Crowley. He's a fair journalist.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. So without further ado, thank you for coming. Give yourself another round of applause. April 5th, 2 days from now, be there. You're going to change your life.
No, hold on. What you want to do also is you want to state where we can find you at in the city, where your church is, something like that.
Okay, yes, for the camera, yes. So, Brother Danyaahla, your organization, where they can find you.
All right, you can find me on YouTube. My YouTube page is Yahweh's Watchman. You can also find me on Facebook, Priest Danyaahla. And my camp sets up on 149th Street and 3rd Avenue in the Bronx every Saturday from about 2 p.m. until. So just come on out. It's warm weather. Bring your chairs out there. You can sit out there with us, man, and just listen to the camp teachers. We out there. Ask your questions. Bring your pens, pads, whatever. All right?
You can find me where the elder is at. But, I'm gathering in Christ Church. I'm not on any social media, but well, I know we have YouTube. We have a Facebook page. And YouTube, but we're on 146th Street in Willis Ave. That's 446 Willis Ave in the South Bronx. And
Pick the date to Saturday.
yeah, you can find us at the Shabbat every Saturday, 3 p.m. We begin class, and we usually go to about 7 p.m. And then we have Bible study on Tuesday nights at the same place from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So.
All right, and for the people who are watching live stream, some people are saying they can't really hear it too well. That's fine. We have recordings, so they will be posted up and everything will come in crystal clear. So I just want to make sure to let you know that I'm watching while I'm speaking. You know what I'm saying? I want to stay in touch with y'all. But my name is Divine Prospect. You can just type me in on YouTube, or you can go to Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. That's my YouTube channel, and you guys can subscribe to that. Also, I'm on Facebook. Just type in Divine Prospect. Right now, I'm the only one that shows up. Hopefully it stays that way. You guys can just add me on that. What'd you say? Oh yeah, my Hebrew name is Safaya. People don't know that, but I'm in a very relaxed Hebrew environment, so I'm going to share that. It's Safaya. I normally use Divine Prospect when I interview or when I interface with the conscious community and try to relay the precepts that we have spiritually in a carnal format that they can grab a hold to and, you know, get a whiff of the truth for real, from real scholarship that's unbiased and that's supporting the scripture. So you guys can look me up on there. Also Instagram, I'm on Kingdom Moments. Kingdom Moments, all one word, on Instagram. You can reach me on there and support GOCC, support LOI. I know my brother Hashan couldn't be here. Yeah, shout out to AOC. Also shout out to Hebrew War Machine, FOPE, Danyaahla out there in Atlanta. Also Shema Yisrael. You can just type these names in Google, type them in on YouTube, follow us, because like the elder says, join something. You know, if you're out there just wandering, you know, want to know the truth, if you want to get into something and make a difference in the community, you have to join with one of our organizations. And the last thing I want to say, another question somebody asked is what groups are involved at the Unity Summit. So I don't know if you want to touch on that, Gabar.
You can touch on it, yeah.
Okay, well at the Unity Summit for right now, there's a flyer that we have out. On the back of the flyer, it gives you an idea. Yeah, if somebody can grab the flyer and just put it at the camera so they can see. But I'll speak on that real quick. We have Lions of Israel, Priest Ayana representing that. Ambassadors of Christ, which is AOC, Brother Hashar is representing that. Hebrew War Machine, we have Zion Lex representing his movement called Learn Torah, but he's also part of Hebrew War Machine. Danyaahla is coming on behalf of Shamrei HaTorah, also part of Hebrew War Machine. I'm coming on behalf of Perfecting, what am I talking about? Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, that's my organization. We also have FOPE for our people's edification. They're also coming together with us. We also have GOCC, as y'all know, which is majority here. Y'all deep, man. Y'all some deep people, right? But GOCC Gathering of Christ Church is going to be there as well. And we have a lot of people who are not even part of the Hebrew Israelite movement who just wants to see unity. And I think that this is going to be the most instrumental event in the Hebrew Israelite culture. History is going to be made on that day because so many camps are going to come together on unity. We're not discussing, like we said, doctrines at this point. We're discussing on things that helps us solidify our particular standpoint in the scriptures. One thing I just want to say real quick is that my objective is to equip our people with the concrete evidence that they need to feel confident to convey their perspective in regards to the scriptures to brothers who don't have the same persuasion. And the more we can do that, the more you'll see more people from the kemetic community who don't have that degree of spirituality. Not saying all of them, but some of them find it absent. They come over to us and say, yo, I didn't even know that the Bible was for us. I didn't even know that there was lies about this and lies about that. So the objective of this, if you guys can see, if you could zoom in, ready for R or on that camera, we need you guys to come out, support this. Also the live stream, I think Elder Gabar can touch on that. There's a live stream for that as well. And this right here is the purpose of this meeting. Anything else you see going forward is this big event right here. So I thank everybody for coming out. Again, show love to all of these camps, and I'm gonna hand it over to my brother, Priest Danyaahla. No problem.
Yeah. Now, I saw somebody ask something online. No, I'm not debating Shaka Amos. If that's, somebody asked that question. Am I debating Shaka Amos? No, I'm not debating Shaka Amos. Not right now. Hey.
Wasting time.
He has to answer the questions, because I saw some things. I don't want to get answer the questions. But anyway, yes, those that want to see us, thank you for letting me know, online. If you go one word,
Maccabees TV?
Maccabees TV, the M is capital. I'm hearing that you have to put the M as capital and put everything else lowercase. You'll be able to find it. And you'll see a link, Maccabees TV pay-per-view. You click on that link, it will take you to another page, and you'll be able to pay for the event. Only 500 people could see the event, so once the 500 people paid for the event, you won't be able to purchase any more. So try to get your tickets in advance. You'll be sent an email, a thank you email, and also email with your passcode. If you try to pass that code to your friend, it's going to kick one of you guys out. So please don't try to do that. We're not going to. We didn't go to Town Zone TV because that was a problem. Things that nature. This is a better company. Also. Try to get there on time because we're going to start on time. The doors open at 3 and the event starts at 4. Not 4 and the event starts at 5. The event starts at, the doors open at 3 and the event is going to start at 4 o'clock sharply. The first one is going to come up. It's going to be Deacon Awanyasap. The second brother's going to preach Danyaahla. The third, I believe it may be either a Divine Prospect. And then we're going to take a break. Then after that is going to be Brother Zion Lex. Yeah, he is coming up. Yeah, I believe Zion Lex is going to come up. And then after that, from Lotus Civilization, Brother Amo Shambo. And then I'll call Hashar. And then last but not least, Brother Nasi, who's going to close the night with some powerful information. There's going to be a little entertainment. There's going to be some vendors. For the vendors, please let me know in advance. You could send an email to goccnyc@yahoo.com or call 646-281-4443 if you're looking to vent. However, it has to embrace the Hebrew culture. We're not going to accept any form of stuff that doesn't embrace that culture. And if you're bringing food with the understanding we are celebrating the feast of unleavened breads, and we cannot accept any yeast. So we'll go over that if you're bringing food and things of that nature. But we don't accept things outside the Hebrew community. So it has to embrace the Hebrew culture and mindset. Okay? So without further ado, thank you guys. Thank you. Give you a round of applause. Love you very much. I know you're coming here, but catching on video. And see you tomorrow. We'll be here. See Divine and also Zion Lex. And see you Sunday. Get your tickets. April 5th. It's going to change your life. Bring me a shout out.